What if I told you there are 7 distinct stages to spiritual awakening that almost nobody understands correctly? By the end of this video, I'll reveal a powerful technique most spiritual teachers keep hidden. Understanding these stages is your key to unlocking profound transformation that will revolutionize your life. You've felt it. The pull beneath the noise, the stirring that refuses to stay quiet. Something inside you is waking up. And it's not satisfied with surface answers anymore. This isn't just curiosity. It's a calling. There are 7 stages every awakened soul must pass through. 7 inner gateways that shift your reality from the inside out. And most people never make it past the first. Not because they aren't ready, but because no one ever showed them the map. You've been told awakening is a light-filled moment of peace. But the truth is far stranger. More raw. More powerful than you've ever imagined. These stages are not pretty concepts. They are transformations that will challenge your very sense of self. But once you understand them, everything changes. You begin to see why certain moments of your life felt so intense. Why certain patterns keep repeating. Why the ground keeps shifting beneath your feet. By the end of this video, you won't just know the stages. You'll be able to recognize exactly where you are in your spiritual evolution. And you'll receive a technique most spiritual teachers never speak about. Not because it's complicated, but because it works so well. It threatens everything they built their identity around. This technique doesn't just help you awaken. It helps you move through every stage with clarity, speed, and power, but we'll get to that soon. For now, listen closely, because most people miss the very first sign. The trigger, the spark, the beginning of everything. And it's happening to thousands right now, without them even knowing. Are you one of them? Let's begin. The first stage hits like lightning, and most people completely miss it. Are you ignoring the signs right now? It never announces itself. There are no trumpets, no sacred texts falling from the sky, no booming voice declaring, "You have awakened." It happens quietly, suddenly, like lightning ripping through a calm sky. One moment you're sleepwalking through life, ticking boxes, chasing goals, following patterns that were never really yours. The next, something shifts. You feel it first in your nervous system. A restlessness that doesn't make sense. Food doesn't taste the same. Conversations feel hollow. The world loses its familiar flavor. You try to explain it, but words fall flat. Because you haven't changed your job, or your relationship, or your location. And yet, nothing feels the same anymore. This is the moment most people miss. The lightning strike. The moment your inner world begins to fracture. And the light starts to leak through the cracks. But here's the secret. It's not always a dramatic event. In fact, it's usually subtle. So subtle that your logical mind writes it off as mood swings, burnout, even boredom. But it's none of those things. This is the soul speaking, louder than it ever has before. It starts asking questions you weren't prepared for. Who am I? Why am I here? Why does everything I thought would fulfill me now feel empty? The lightning has already struck, but you don't recognize the fire because it doesn't look like fire. It looks like dissatisfaction. It looks like spiritual confusion. It looks like you're losing your grip on the life you built. And still, you try to cling to it. That's the tragedy of stage 1. Most people feel it, and then run from it. They numb it with distractions, drown it in noise, bury it under logic and responsibility. But those who pause, who truly stop and listen, begin to hear the real message. Something ancient is waking up inside you. Something that remembers. You are not who you think you are. You never were. And the awakening is here to remind you. But let's go deeper. This first stage has 3 forms, and you must understand them to know if it's happening to you. The first form is the emotional trigger. You feel disconnected from what once lit you up. Your favorite activities feel meaningless. The people you used to bond with now seem distant. You're not broken. You're shedding. The emotional disconnection is not a sign of depression. It's a sign that your inner compass is being recalibrated. You are no longer aligned with the version of yourself that was built from conditioning. And that version is dying. Painfully, beautifully. The second form is the existential trigger. Suddenly, the big questions hit harder. You begin questioning the system, the timeline of life, the purpose behind routines you used to follow without resistance. You find yourself staring out windows, not because you're lost, but because something inside you knows there's more. Time feels distorted. Sometimes it moves too fast. Other times it feels like it's standing still. You're not going crazy. You're stepping out of the artificial matrix of time that your ego once clung to. The third form is the psychic trigger. You start noticing patterns, synchronicities, repeating numbers, vivid dreams, intuitive hits that turn out to be true. You hear words before someone says them. You feel the emotions of strangers like they're your own. Your senses are sharpening, not in the physical realm, but in the subtle field. You are tuning in to something you once couldn't access. And this is the most important point. You didn't make this happen. Chose you. The spiritual trigger doesn't come because you meditate every morning or chant mantras. It comes because your soul has reached the expiration date of its current illusion. And now, the illusion begins to shatter. But it's not comfortable. This stage is filled with disorientation. You question your sanity. You isolate. Not because you want to, but because being around unconscious energy becomes intolerable. You crave silence, but in that silence, your thoughts get louder. You begin to experience something called spiritual anxiety. It's not fear of something external. It's fear that everything you thought was true isn't. And the worst part, no one around you gets it. You try to explain, but their eyes glaze over. You talk about the signs, the feelings, the shift, but they think you're overthinking, so you retreat inward. And that's exactly what this stage demands. An inward descent, a confrontation with the layers you never questioned. Now listen carefully. There are 3 signs that your awakening has truly begun. The first, you start craving truth like oxygen. You can no longer tolerate fake conversations, small talk, superficial entertainment. Your soul is starving, and only truth can feed it now. The second sign, your dreams intensify. You begin to receive messages. You may not understand them, but you wake up with the feeling that something important just happened. You can't ignore it, because it lingers. And the third sign, the collapse of meaning. What once gave you purpose now feels hollow. But this emptiness is sacred. It's not the end. It's the clearing, the space before new truth enters. So now we ask the question. The first stage hits like lightning, and most people completely miss it. Are you ignoring the signs right now? Pause, breathe, scan your body. How do you feel when you hear these words? Do you feel a strange sense of familiarity? Like you've been waiting for someone to say this out loud? Then you're already in it. And here's what you need to know to move through stage 1 with power. Do not fight the disorientation. Let the questions burn. Let the illusions fall. Let the people who no longer align drift away. You are not losing yourself. You are meeting yourself for the first time. Practice presence. Not as a technique, but as a surrender. Spend time alone. Not to escape the world, but to hear the whispers your soul has been trying to speak. Track the patterns. Keep a journal of your synchronicities, your triggers, your dreams. What may seem random today will become your roadmap tomorrow. And most importantly, trust the unease, that tension in your chest, the questioning of your life, the discomfort in old spaces. It's all confirmation. Your soul is waking up. And like any being that's been asleep for too long, the waking hurts at first, but then clarity, then vision, then power. This is only the beginning. And yet, everything after this will be colored by it. Because once the awakening begins, the old world cannot hold you anymore. It may try. You may feel the pull to go back to your old life, to silence the voice, to numb the fire, but that never works. The soul never forgets its awakening. You can ignore it, but you can't erase it. So don't resist it. Don't suppress it. Don't try to explain it away. The lightning has already struck. The crack has opened, and the light is pouring through. Welcome to stage 1. Now the real journey begins. The second stage feels like your life is falling apart. But here's why that's actually the best thing that could happen to you. You thought the awakening would bring clarity, peace, maybe even joy, but instead, everything begins to unravel, not just outside you, but deep within. The job that once gave you a sense of control starts to feel suffocating. The relationships you thought were solid begin to crack under invisible pressure. The thoughts in your mind turn against you. Louder, sharper, relentless. This is not coincidence. This is the second stage. And this is where the real descent begins. Most seekers run from this phase. They mislabel it, misdiagnose it, and in doing so, they delay their own evolution because they don't understand the deeper truth. The second stage feels like your life is falling apart. But here's why that's actually the best thing that could happen to you. This is the purification, the sacred fire that strips you bare. It is the moment your soul decides to burn away every false identity you've ever clung to. And it does not ask for permission. It doesn't arrive gently. It crashes through the walls of your old life and tears down everything built on illusion. You might feel like you're losing your mind. You're not. You're losing the mask. The mind screams because the ego is dying. And the ego believes death is the end. But for the soul, this is the beginning of resurrection. The signs of purification are unmistakable. Sudden loss or endings you didn't expect. Crippling emotional waves that rise without warning. Insomnia that no remedy seems to fix. You find yourself crying for reasons you can't explain. Laughing at the absurdity of your own thoughts. Staring into space with a silent ache you can't describe. Your appetite changes. Your body feels different. The world around you begins to distort. And no one warns you that this is part of it. No book prepares you. No guru tells you that this phase feels like death. Because it is. But not death of the body. Death of the illusion. The part of you that was constructed to fit into systems you never agreed to. Beliefs you never questioned. Patterns you inherited without consent. And now, those parts are collapsing. Your soul has activated a sacred purge. And everything you're feeling is evidence that it's working. Here's what no one tells you. This darkness isn't punishment. It's medicine. It's alchemy. It is the soul's way of saying, you've outgrown the cage. Now let's burn it down. But there's more. This stage brings with it physical symptoms that can be terrifying. Until you understand their purpose. Your body begins to release energy that's been stored for years, sometimes lifetimes. Old trauma resurfaces. Past wounds echo through your nervous system. You feel fatigue with no cause. Pressure in your head. Strange vibrations through your spine. These are not signs of sickness. They're signs of energetic rewiring. Your spiritual DNA is being restructured. The light you activated in stage 1 is now demanding a vessel strong enough to hold it. And so, your system purges. Emotionally, this stage is brutal. You may feel completely alone, even when surrounded by people. You'll doubt your path. You'll question your sanity. You'll crave silence, and simultaneously fear what you might hear in that silence. But this is where the shift happens. If you can stay present with the pain without trying to escape it, you begin to see what's really happening. You're not falling apart. You're falling free. Free from expectations. Free from attachments. Free from stories that were never yours. And in that freedom, you meet your real self, raw, unfiltered, unapologetic, and absolutely unstoppable. But how do you move through this without getting stuck? Because many do. They drown in the sorrow. They turn to coping mechanisms that numb instead of heal. They convince themselves that awakening isn't worth the cost. But you know better. You feel something deeper guiding you, even in the darkest hour. So here's how to move through stage 2 faster than most. First, stop resisting the breakdown. Let the false structures collapse. When relationships end, bless them. When emotions rise, witness them. When old versions of you beg to be saved, release them. This stage is not about fixing. It's about releasing. Second, cleanse your environment. Your physical space holds energetic weight. Declutter your home. Let go of objects tied to old memories. Burn incense. Use sound. Open windows. You are creating space for new energy to enter. And third, connect to your body. Move, dance, breathe deeply. Your body is the vessel for this transformation, not the enemy. Honor it. Feed it with high-frequency foods. Rest when it needs rest. Speak to it with kindness. And most of all, remember this: the second stage feels like your life is falling apart. But here's why that's actually the best thing that could happen to you. Because you cannot ascend while dragging your old self with you. This stage is your cocoon. It's not comfortable. It's not pretty. It's not the version of spirituality sold in polished books and filtered videos. But it is real, and it is sacred. You are being stripped to your essence, so that what rises next is truth, so that the power within you is no longer hidden behind roles and routines. And yes, there will be days you beg for it to stop. There will be nights when you pray for silence inside your mind. But those moments will pass. And when they do, you'll see what you've become: a being who has walked through fire and emerged whole, not perfect, but real. And in this world, that is the greatest power of all. Let it burn. Let it clear. Let it strip you of everything false. Because what's waiting on the other side is the light you've been searching for all your life. But before you reach it, you must prove you're ready, not by pretending, not by pushing, but by surrendering fully and trusting the sacred storm. You are not being destroyed. You are being rewritten. And soon, the next stage will reveal itself. But for now, breathe. You're doing exactly what you came here to do. And the soul is watching, guiding, smiling, because it knows. This is where the real transformation begins. Stage 3 brings the spiritual high everyone chases. But there's a dangerous trap here that derails 80% of seekers. You made it through the darkness. The fire didn't consume you, carved you open. And now, something begins to rise. It starts subtly. Colors seem brighter. Time begins to warp. Moments stretch, shimmer, and bend. You catch glimpses of something more. Your thoughts slow down. Synchronicities multiply. You hear silence, and within it, a message meant only for you. This is stage 3. This is the first glimpse, the taste of illumination. Not full enlightenment. Not yet, but a spark. A golden thread pulling you toward something vast, radiant, eternal. And this is the moment so many chase for the rest of their lives. Because it feels like truth, feels like freedom, feels like love in its purest form. And it is. But here's the warning. Stage 3 brings the spiritual high everyone chases. But there's a dangerous trap here that derails 80% of seekers. You see, illumination isn't a reward. It's a preview, a temporary opening granted by grace to show you what's possible. But not guaranteed to last. The light doesn't stay by default. It tests you first. Will you chase the feeling or the truth behind it? Because here is where ego begins to reawaken in disguise. It tells you, you've arrived. It whispers, You're more awakened than others. It tempts you to perform spirituality instead of embodying it. And that is the trap. Illumination can become a prison of light if you attach to the high. If you mistake the glimpse for the goal, you stall. You begin to seek peak experiences instead of deep transformation, and the soul quietly retreats. This is where 80% of seekers spiral into illusion. They chase visions, mantras, rituals, anything that recreates that first spark. But illumination is not a drug. It's a doorway, a chance to step into your higher essence, not float above your human life. So let's get clear. What does real illumination feel like? It's not just bliss. It's knowing. It's the sudden understanding that everything you feared was an illusion, that time is not linear, that love is not earned, that you are not broken and never were. It's the recognition that divinity exists in all things, even shadows. It feels like your heart cracking open and light pouring in. It feels like silence that speaks louder than words. It feels like dying and being reborn in a single breath. And yet, it's dangerous because the ego is clever. It will co-opt your awakening to feed its superiority complex. It will wear the robe of a sage, the words of a mystic, while secretly clinging to control. This stage must be navigated with deep humility, because illumination is not about becoming more, it's about becoming less. Less identified, less reactive, less attached. It is about becoming empty enough for the divine to speak through you. So how do you stabilize illumination? How do you stop it from fading back into memory? First, silence. Not just external silence, but inner stillness. The more you chase, the more it slips away. Illumination deepens when you stop grasping for it. Let the moment arise and pass. Honor it as sacred, but do not cling. Second, integrate. Take the insight and apply it to your ordinary life. Wash dishes with reverence. Walk with presence. Speak truthfully even when it's uncomfortable. The light must move into your body, your habits, your relationships. Otherwise, it remains a fantasy. Third, remain anonymous in your soul. Do not seek validation for your spiritual experiences. This is a secret path, not because it's forbidden, but because the moment you expose the sacred to ego-driven attention, it disappears. Let your awakening shine through your presence, not your posts. Let it speak through your kindness, not your claims. Because those who are truly illuminated rarely need to say it. Their being does the speaking. And finally, surrender again, just when you think you've reached a summit. Bow. The soul honors humility above all. It knows that illumination is not an end. It's a signal, a bell that rings to call you deeper. And if you listen, if you follow without needing to understand, you'll notice something. The moments of light return more often. They last longer. They go deeper. Not because you forced them, but because you became a match for them. You became transparent. And the divine loves transparency. This stage is delicate. It can uplift you to heights you never imagined, or send you spiraling into delusion. The difference? Your willingness to release the high and serve the truth. This is not about becoming better than others. It's about remembering who you were before you forgot. It's about returning to the origin point. Before conditioning, before trauma, before name and form. And every time the light comes, say thank you, then let it go. Because the real work happens not during the illumination, but after, when you're alone, when no one is watching, when you're triggered, and choose awareness. That's when the light becomes permanent. That's when you no longer need signs, visions, or feelings, because the truth has moved from concept to code, and it lives in your breath, your walk, your gaze. And yes, there will still be darkness ahead. There will still be trials. But now you know, now you've seen. And once you've seen, you can never unsee. Even when the light disappears, its echo remains. You are forever changed. not by force, but by grace. So hold the glimpse gently. Let it show you the potential. Let it burn the illusion, and let it pass, because what's coming next is the transformation of your entire being. But only if you're ready to let the old self go completely. Illumination is the test, and how you respond determines what happens next. You are not here to become enlightened. You are here to become real. The light is not the destination. It's the compass. Follow it within. And what awaits you is rebirth. In stage 4, your old self must die, which is why most people run back to their comfortable prisons. The first glimpse of light is a gift. But what follows is the cost of truth, the price of authenticity. Because in stage 4, the light doesn't just shine on your soul. It burns away everything that is not you. And here's the truth most never dare to speak. In stage 4, your old self must die, which is why most people run back to their comfortable prisons. It's not poetic. It's not gentle. It's not a sweet rebirth in golden light. It's death, plain and raw, of your ego, of your masks, of your attachments. Everything you thought was you begins to collapse. Not slowly, but violently. Your beliefs crumble. Your roles disintegrate. Your identity begins to rot from the inside out. And it feels like madness, because the person you've been defending your entire life starts to dissolve, and your mind screams to stop it, to hold on, to piece it back together. But there's no going back. You've seen the truth, and now the lie can no longer survive. This is the threshold of true transformation. This is where illusions come to die. And the reason most people fail at this stage is simple. They confuse comfort with safety, and they mistake familiarity for truth. So when the chaos hits, when the false self begins to burn, they run. Back to the job, back to the relationship, back to the story, back to the prison they've built and decorated, just to avoid freedom. But you're different. You're still here. So listen closely. Transformation doesn't ask for part of you. It demands everything. Your mind, your habits, your pain, even your dreams. All of it must be offered up at the altar of truth, because what's being reborn is not a better version of the ego. It's your original essence, your soul before the conditioning. And that process is messy. You'll cry without knowing why. You'll lose interest in everything. You'll question your sanity, your path, your worth. Good. That means it's working. You're not falling apart. You're falling free. The soul doesn't want who you were. It wants who you are beneath the programming, the survival, the performance. And that version of you must be remembered. But first, the shell must break. This is not the time to rush. This is not the time to numb. This is the sacred fire. Let it consume what no longer serves you. Let it reduce your false identities to ash, because only then can the phoenix rise. And yes, there will be resistance. Your mind will fight it. Your nervous system will panic. You'll feel like you're dying because part of you is, but don't mistake the death of the false self. For the end of you is the beginning of embodiment, not as a persona, but as a presence, not as someone who knows spiritual words, but as someone who radiates truth without speaking. And here's how you know transformation is happening. You lose interest in being understood and become obsessed with being real. You stop performing healing and actually start healing. You stop chasing alignment and become aligned, not because it's trending, but because it's time. And your soul is done waiting. It will shake you, break you, strip you, until only one thing remains. The real you, not the version shaped by childhood, not the version built on fear, not the version curated for approval, but the version that remembers why it came here. The version that's been buried under noise, buried under wounds, buried under survival. And now, it rises, not because you forced it, but because you surrendered. So how do you move through this death with grace? You stop trying to fix yourself. You stop trying to escape discomfort. You stop asking when it will end. And instead, you witness. You allow the unraveling. You breathe as the walls collapse. You listen to the silence after the scream. Because in that silence, the truth speaks, tells you, you are not broken. You are breaking free. And no, most people won't understand. They'll call it depression. They'll say you've lost your spark. They'll try to pull you back into the illusion. But stay strong, because on the other side of this internal destruction is resurrection. Not a better mask, but no mask at all. And what emerges is terrifyingly pure. You stop needing to explain yourself. You stop chasing validation. You become so real that everything false falls away on its own. People leave. Habits die. Old versions of you beg to be revived. But you don't return. You can't. Because you're no longer who you were. You've crossed the line. You've chosen soul over safety. And now, the universe rearranges itself to meet the new you. You'll start to notice it. New people appear. New clarity rises. New purpose begins to pulse through your veins. Not because you sought it, but because you earned it. Through the fire, through the death, through the silence. So let this be your reminder. This stage isn't punishment. It's purification. The death of the lie is the birth of the infinite. And the more you resist, the longer it lasts. So surrender. Let go of the narrative. Let go of the self-image. Let go of the version of you that was built to survive a world that no longer exists. You are not here to be understood. You are here to be true. And truth doesn't need approval. It needs embodiment. So walk through the fire. Let yourself be destroyed. And when the ash settles, you'll see something rising from the ruins. You, the real you, the timeless, boundless, awakened you. No longer trapped in stories. No longer shackled to identity. No longer afraid of death. Because you've died. And now, you live. Stage 5 is spiritual quicksand, where most seekers get permanently stuck. Here's how to avoid their fate. This stage doesn't announce itself with fanfare. There are no dramatic shifts, no explosions of insight, no mystical visions calling your name. Instead, it whispers, quietly, softly, constantly, and in that stillness, a great danger lies. Stage 5 is spiritual quicksand, where most seekers get permanently stuck. Here's how to avoid their fate. Because integration is not flashy. It's not glamorous. It doesn't satisfy your craving for cosmic fireworks. But it is the most vital stage of all, and the most overlooked. You see, up to this point, the journey has been intense. Explosive awakenings, tears, ego deaths, revelations. But now, the question becomes simple. Can you live it? Not understand it. Not talk about it. Not perform it for others. Can you live it? Can you take what you've seen in the light and carry it into your everyday life? That's where most fail. They fall into the trap of chasing the next high, the next transmission, the next guru, the next ritual, because silence feels boring, because simplicity feels wrong, because the mundane feels disconnected. But that's the lie, and integration exposes it. It forces you to return to the marketplace after climbing the mountain, to wash dishes with awareness, to speak with presence, to love with integrity. And here's the brutal truth. If you skip this stage, all your revelations rot inside you. They become empty quotes, hollow routines, spiritual arrogance, because transformation is not real until it reaches your nervous system, until it seeps into your breath, your posture, your choices. This is not about what you say. It's about what you radiate when you say nothing at all. This is not the realm of the seeker. This is the realm of the embodied mystic. And it begins by slowing down, by getting radically honest, by asking, have I really integrated, or am I just addicted to transformation? It's a painful question, because ego loves the chase. It loves drama. It loves complexity. It loves playing hide and seek behind spiritual concepts. But integration doesn't care about your concepts. It wants congruence. It wants truth in motion. It wants your actions to match your awareness. And that's the test. Because now, your family will trigger the version of you that died. Your past habits will beg to be reborn. The world will ask, are you still the old you? Or is the new self truly alive? And most answer that question with their silence. They say they've changed, but their patterns haven't. They speak about energy, but leak it everywhere. They wear crystals and talk alignment, while secretly living out of integrity. That's the trap. That's the spiritual quicksand. You get stuck between worlds. You're no longer who you were, but not fully who you're becoming. And if you don't anchor yourself in discipline, presence, and radical truth, you sink. So how do you rise? How do you move through the swamp with clarity? You stop reaching for the next stage and honor this one, because integration isn't a pause. It is the journey. This is where your frequency stabilizes. This is where your nervous system learns safety in stillness. This is where your choices become sacred. Not because you try harder, but because you've become someone else entirely. You now understand that mastery is not about more knowledge. It's about fewer leaks, fewer reactions, fewer justifications, fewer distortions. You speak only when words are needed. You act only when aligned. You move through life with calm eyes and steady hands. And people notice, but they don't know why. Because you no longer perform your spiritual growth. You embody it. That's the key to integration. And here's the paradox most miss. The deeper your awakening, the simpler your life becomes. You stop chasing depth, because you are depth. You stop needing tools, because you are the tool. You stop fighting for peace, because you've become the space that holds all things. But here's where it gets dangerous again. Because simplicity terrifies the ego, so it whispers, this can't be it. You need another activation. You need another purge. You need another teacher. And if you listen, you fall back into the loop, back into the noise, back into the spiritual circus that thrives on never-ending seeking. Don't fall for it. You're not here to chase awakening forever. You're here to integrate it, to become the kind of presence that doesn't need to speak to be heard, to walk into a room and shift the frequency just by breathing. That's the power of this stage, but only if you honor it. So here's how you stay out of the quicksand. First, let go of needing to feel spiritual. Spirituality is not a feeling. It's a frequency, a state of alignment that doesn't depend on your emotions. Second, stop comparing your path. No one else has your nervous system. No one else has your karmic blueprint. No one else is here to live your exact truth. Integration means owning your path, even when it doesn't look like anyone else's. Third, slow down. Integration doesn't rush. It takes time, cycles, seasons. It requires stillness. It asks for patience. And in that stillness, something profound happens. You begin to trust yourself, not because a guru said so, but because your soul feels it. And then, finally, you begin to live the wisdom. You become your own teacher, your own temple, your own guide, and life responds. People begin to reflect your new frequency. Your external world reorganizes. Your relationships shift. Your boundaries sharpen. Your sense of purpose deepens. All without force. All without fanfare. Because now, the work is internal and real and lasting. This is where power is born. Not in ceremony, but in consistency. Not in spectacle, but in silence. So ask yourself right now, are you living your truth in the small moments? Because that's where your frequency is tested. In traffic, in email, in discomfort, in silence. That's where integration happens or doesn't. So stop waiting for your life to reflect your awakening. Start making your life the evidence of it. Clean up your integrity. Refine your habits. Simplify your words. Let your presence speak louder than your posts. Let your energy teach louder than your lips. And trust this truth. You are further than you think. Not when you feel high, but when you feel peace in the mundane, because that is mastery in the making. And while others chase fireworks, you will become the flame, calm, unshaken, true. So don't sink in the quicksand. Don't stop here. Move slowly, move deliberately, move authentically, because the next stage doesn't open with effort. It opens when you become the living bridge between heaven and earth. You're almost there, but integration will test your devotion to the truth. Pass this test, and everything changes. The secret to stage 6 isn't what most gurus teach. It's actually something much simpler that most people overlook. There is a silence that comes after the storm. Not the silence of defeat, but the silence of power. That is the beginning of mastery. Most seekers don't know they've entered this stage, because it doesn't come with a sign. It doesn't come with applause. It doesn't even feel like a breakthrough. It just is. You wake up one day and notice. You're not searching anymore. You're not chasing experiences. You're not hungry for validation. Something has clicked beneath the surface, and the ground feels solid beneath your feet. This is not the kind of mastery they sell in books. It's not about control. It's not about perfection. It's not about knowing all the answers. It's about becoming the answer. The secret to stage 6 isn't what most gurus teach. It's actually something much simpler that most people overlook. You see, real mastery begins with surrender. Not the weak kind, the fierce kind, the kind that says, I no longer need to be anyone else. The kind that lets go of effort and enters flow. In this stage, you stop identifying with the identity you worked so hard to build. You stop needing to prove your evolution. You stop managing your image, because something deeper now speaks through you. Something ancient, something sovereign. And it doesn't shout. It whispers. It guides. It nudges. It does not demand the spotlight. It is the spotlight. Mastery is not flashy. It's magnetic, not because of charisma, but because of coherence. You are no longer divided inside yourself. You've stitched the soul and the self into one seamless current. And now, your energy does what words never could. People feel it. They don't know why they trust you. They don't know why they open to you. They don't know why your presence makes their nervous system exhale. But it does, because you've become the mirror they didn't know they were looking for. And yet, you're not trying to be anything. That's the paradox. The less you try, the more power flows. The more you release, the more you receive. The more you simplify, the more divine complexity reveals itself. That's the secret most gurus never teach, because it doesn't sell well. There's no program for it, no badge, no ritual, no certificate of completion. Just this. Quiet, unwavering alignment, a devotion to truth, commitment to presence, and an embodiment of wisdom that no longer needs to be spoken. In this stage, your gifts sharpen, but not in the way you think. You don't try to channel anymore. You become the channel. You don't force your intuition. You simply listen, and it speaks. You don't push energy. You move with it, like wind guiding leaves across water. Your body becomes more than flesh. It becomes a finely tuned compass, sensitive to frequency, open to alignment, closed to distortion. You can enter rooms and feel the story behind every voice. You can look into someone's eyes and hear the truth behind their words. But here's what separates real mastery from spiritual performance. You don't use it for power. You use it for presence. You don't manipulate. You witness. You don't dominate. You align, because you now understand. Mastery is not about being above others. It's about being fully with them. While rooted in your own soul, it's the ability to hold contradiction without collapsing, to stand in chaos without being shaken, to speak truth without needing to be right. And this kind of mastery has one enemy, the mind. The mind wants to own it, to define it, to turn it into a brand. But mastery slips through definitions, because it is not a concept. It is a frequency, And frequencies cannot be taught. They must be lived. You cannot fake this stage. You cannot pretend to be whole, because mastery reveals everything. Your shadows, your subtle motives, your secret fears. And yet, you welcome them. You no longer run. You no longer need to kill the ego. You simply integrate it. You sit with your wounds. Not to fix them, but to know them. You meet your fear. Not to conquer it, but to dance with it. You walk into discomfort. Not to escape it, but to become the space that holds it all. That is true strength. And yet, it looks like softness, like grace, like peace, because the strongest souls do not shout. They whisper. They move like rivers, carving mountains with quiet persistence. They smile from places you cannot name, and their silence speaks louder than sermons. So what is the key practice that unlocks this? What is the hidden gateway to true mastery? It's not meditation. It's not fasting. It's not isolation. It's awareness in motion. It's not what you do on the cushion. It's who you are when no one is watching. When life squeezes you, when people disappoint you, when your plans unravel. Can you still be love? Can you still be presence? Can you still be truth? That is the hidden teaching, the one most overlooked. Because mastery is not about escaping the world. It's about returning to it, fully awake. It's not about ascending beyond the body. It's about anchoring spirit into the body. It's not about controlling life. It's about aligning so deeply that life begins to move through you without resistance. This is when synchronicities become constant. This is when guidance becomes clear. This is when your path unfolds not through force, but through flow, because now you are the vessel, not trying to be anything, just being. And that is when you become unstoppable, not because you fight harder, but because nothing can fight presence. No illusion survives it. No distortion withstands it. No lie breathes in the light of your frequency. So yes, the secret to stage 6 isn't what most gurus teach. It's something much simpler, something ancient, something true. Live it. Let your breath become a prayer. Let your words become medicine. Let your actions become alignment. And let your silence become the teaching. Because now, you no longer walk the path. You are the path. The journey walks through you, and everyone you meet feels it, even if they don't know why. So stay humble, stay open, stay silent inside, because true mastery doesn't arrive with fireworks. It arrives with stillness and stays with you forever. The final stage cannot be described in words, yet most people are chasing a completely false version of it. There comes a moment when even the word awakening begins to fade. A moment when silence begins to speak louder than any mantra. When the seeker dissolves into the sought, and the journey collapses into the now. This is not ecstasy. This is not bliss. This is not the climax of your spiritual pursuit. This is the disappearance of pursuit itself. Stage 7 arrives like a whisper in a cave where echoes no longer bounce. It doesn't shine with glory. It doesn't radiate with thunderous revelations. It just is. And it leaves you with nothing. Yet in that nothing, everything is held. The final stage cannot be described in words, yet most people are chasing a completely false version of it, because they think transcendence is an escape, portal, a reward, a state of permanent bliss, where pain no longer touches you, where duality has been conquered and the self is seated upon a golden throne. But that version is still a fantasy of the ego, a final costume of spiritual identity. Real transcendence doesn't make you invincible. It makes you invisible. You're not above the world. You are inside it, and beyond it, and somehow no longer separate from it. You see your face in every stranger. You hear your voice in the rustle of trees. You feel your soul in everything, not as a feeling, not as an insight, but as a deep cellular knowing. There is no longer a line between inside and outside, no longer a concept of me and you, only the awareness, only the presence, only the hum beneath it all. It's not love as emotion. It's love as structure, love as code, love as the breath of being. You no longer seek meaning, because everything has meaning. You no longer ask questions, because the questioner has dissolved. There is only being. This is the paradox. You can't force this stage. You can't chase it. You can't even aim for it, because the very act of seeking keeps you separate from it. It arises when the seeker falls away, when the identity crumbles, and you no longer need to know who you are. You simply are. You become the awareness behind the mask, the stillness inside the movement, the quiet behind the sound, the canvas behind all colors. And in that space, life becomes lucid, not like a dream you're aware of, but like a dream you no longer need to wake up from. Because there is no separation between dreaming and waking, no line between inner and outer, no border between self and source. Most people never reach this, not because it's far away, but because it's too close, too quiet, too ordinary. They expect fireworks, they expect visions, they expect divine theatrics. But transcendence is humble, soft, weightless. It doesn't elevate you above others. It dissolves the illusion that there ever were others. You don't gain something in this stage. You lose the illusion of lack. You don't become someone new. You disappear into what always was. Presence that needs no label. A truth that has no opposite. A light that casts no shadow. The ancient mystics tried to speak of this. They used metaphors, paradoxes, poetry, because no direct description could ever hold it. It is not a place. It is not a peak. It is a non-location, a non-state, a formless home that was always waiting within. And it calls you, not with urgency, but with deep peace, a peace that doesn't fluctuate, a peace that isn't tied to outcomes, a peace that remains, even as the world burns. This is the peace that passeth understanding, because it is not born of understanding. It is born of dissolution. The final layer burns away. The idea that you are the doer, the thinker, the mover, even the witness dissolves. And there is just this, just being, just presence, just source, aware of itself. But beware, the ego loves to impersonate transcendence. It wears masks of serenity. It speaks in enlightened tones, claims arrival. But real transcendence has no interest in being recognized. It has no interest in teaching. It has no interest in being seen as transcendent. Because the one who wanted recognition no longer exists, gone, vapor, dust. In this stage, you could walk through a market, unseen by souls still trapped in story. You could speak, and the words would carry no identity. You could be still, and yet your presence would shift the entire room. And you wouldn't claim it, because there is no you left to claim. This is the sacred disappearance, and it cannot be faked, cannot be replicated, cannot be commodified. It is the death of spiritual performance, the death of seeking, the death of effort. And in that death, life begins to truly bloom. Not your life, life itself, unfiltered, uninterrupted, undivided. You may cry without story. You may laugh without meaning. You may sit for hours, doing nothing, and feel more full than in a lifetime of activity. Because fullness has returned. The kind that needs nothing added. The kind that cannot be explained. The kind that simply is. The final stage cannot be described in words, yet most people are chasing a completely false version of it. They want light without darkness, joy without sorrow, peace without chaos. But true transcendence does not divide. It does not reject anything. It includes everything. It watches pain rise and does not flinch. It hears the scream and feels no threat. It embraces both birth and death as part of the same song, not from indifference, but from sacred neutrality. This is where you finally understand. All of it is God. The shadow, the wound, the noise, the silence, the fear, the flame, the form, the formless. All of it. Divine. All of it. There is no arriving here, because you were never not here. This is not a stage you enter. This is the one you remember. The home beneath all homes. The self beneath all selves. The silence beneath all sounds. And once you've remembered, nothing can unknow it. You walk through the world differently. You speak with the authority of stillness. You listen with the ears of the infinite, and everything becomes ceremony. Eating, walking, breathing, listening, all of it. Sacred, because you are not doing it. It is doing you, and even that sentence fades, because there is no one left to be done. Only the eternal playing in form. Only the formless laughing through your eyes. Only the infinite dancing through temporary skin. So let the others chase states. Let them climb ladders to nowhere. Let them debate who is more awake. You have vanished. You have returned. You have dissolved into presence so completely that only silence remains. And in that silence, the whole universe sings. As promised, here's the powerful practice that most spiritual teachers never share, because it works too well. There is a key hidden in plain sight. Not many are ready to see it. Not many even know it exists. But those who do experience a shift that is so deep, so real, that everything else fades. Everything they thought they knew about awakening, about enlightenment, about transformation, is overshadowed by this one simple practice. And yet, this key is not a grand revelation. It's not an intricate technique you need to master. It is not a sacred ritual that takes years to perfect. It's not a mantra that you chant endlessly. It's not a visualization you hold in your mind's eye. It is presence, the act of fully inhabiting the present moment, without distraction, without resistance, without the need to control it or manipulate it. This is the practice that can transcend all stages. It is the one practice that works across every stage of spiritual awakening. Whether you are just beginning to feel the stirrings of a deeper calling or you are standing on the edge of transcendence, presence is the bridge that spans all gaps. Presence is the doorway to the transformation you seek. This is the practice that most teachers never share, because it's too simple, and it's too powerful. Because when you embody presence, you stop chasing, you stop striving, you stop looking for something outside of you to complete you. Presence is the key that unlocks everything you've been searching for. Presence means being with what is, without judgment, without the need to change it, fix it, or make it better. It is the total acceptance of the now. When you begin to live in presence, everything changes. Your perception of reality shifts. Your connection to yourself deepens. Your awareness expands. You begin to understand that everything, absolutely everything, is sacred. The air you breathe, the ground beneath your feet, the people you encounter, the thoughts that arise in your mind, the emotions that surface in your heart. All of it becomes an opportunity for awakening. And in that space of total acceptance, life begins to reveal its mysteries to you. The key is not in seeking, it's in stopping the search, stopping the mind from trying to analyze or understand everything, stopping the urge to resist whatever is happening right now, stopping the desire to control or manipulate the future. When you stop trying to push life into your expectations, you allow life to flow through you as it is meant to. You become the vessel, and you no longer need to direct the flow. You let life unfold as it will. And the result? A deep, abiding peace that cannot be disturbed by external circumstances. An inner stillness that becomes your anchor, no matter the storm around you. And it doesn't matter what stage of awakening you are in. Presence is the one practice that transcends them all. You can be in the chaos of the purification stage, feeling as if your life is falling apart, and presence will ground you. You can be in the illumination stage, feeling the ecstasy of spiritual highs, and presence will help you stay balanced. You can be in the transformation stage, feeling your old self die away, and presence will give you the courage to embrace the new. You can be in the integration stage, struggling to bring your new awareness into your daily life, and presence will guide you. You can be in the mastery stage, sensing your power and wisdom, and presence will humble you, reminding you that true mastery is in being, not doing. and even in transcendence. Presence is what allows you to rest in the void, without grasping for a version of the self that has dissolved. This is why so few share this practice, because it is not something that can be packaged or sold. It cannot be distilled into a 5-step system or a 7-step formula. It requires no special tools, no rituals, no secret teachings. It requires only you, and your willingness to be fully present. But what happens when you embrace presence fully? The world begins to reveal itself. It's as though all the hidden threads of the universe, those quiet, subtle connections that weave through all of existence, begin to become clear to you. You no longer see things as separate. You no longer view yourself as a solitary being, isolated from the world around you. You begin to see the interconnectedness of everything, how your thoughts shape your reality, how your emotions influence the world, how your actions ripple out, touching everything you encounter. And when you fully embrace presence, you begin to step out of the illusion of time. You stop seeing yourself as a creature moving through a timeline of past, present, and future. Instead, you enter the eternal now, the space where everything exists simultaneously, where all possibilities coexist, where time is not linear, but expansive. And in this vast, unbounded space, you come to realize that there is no such thing as a destination on your spiritual journey. You have never been moving from point A to point B. You have always been right where you are. And this is where true power lies. Not in changing the world, not in forcing transformation, but in fully experiencing the world as it is, in allowing yourself to be with life as it unfolds without resistance, without judgment, without the need to control it. This practice of presence will transform your relationships. Because when you are fully present with another person, you are no longer seeing them through the filter of your expectations or judgments. You are seeing them as they are. And in that pure seeing, you begin to realize the divine in them, the same divine that resides in you. Your interactions shift from transactional to sacred. You begin to see others as reflections of yourself. You stop expecting them to meet your needs and start seeing how you can serve them, how you can meet them where they are. This is the power of presence. And it will also transform your inner world. When you are present with your thoughts, you stop identifying with them. When you are present with your emotions, you stop suppressing them or trying to escape them. You allow them to arise, to move through you without resistance. You no longer see yourself as a victim to your thoughts and emotions. You are simply the observer of them, watching them arise and dissolve. And in this spacious awareness, you become free. Free from the tyranny of the mind. Free from the tyranny of the past. Free from the tyranny of the future. And when you live in presence, you begin to step into your true power. You begin to realize that you are not just a small, separate individual. You are the vastness itself, moving through a temporary form. You are not bound by the limitations of your body, your mind, your circumstances. You are the eternal consciousness expressing itself through this moment. You have always been this, and you will always be this. And when you fully recognize this, your life becomes a living prayer, a continuous dance with the divine, a constant unfolding of the infinite within the finite. Presence is the key that unlocks this. And when you embrace it, you will find that everything you've been searching for has always been here, not somewhere in the future, not in some distant state of awakening, but right here, right now, in this very moment. Let's discover which stage you're in right now. The answer might shock you. There comes a moment on every journey of awakening where the veils lift, the clouds part, the fog clears, and for the first time you see yourself not as you've been told to see yourself, but as you truly are. And when that moment comes, when you are faced with the unvarnished truth of your own journey, the shock can be staggering. You thought you were further along. You thought you had reached a particular destination, only to realize that there is so much more to discover. But here is the great mystery of awakening. It is never linear. There is no one-size-fits-all. No clear-cut path that leads from one stage to the next. No roadmap that can show you exactly where you are or where you're headed. Instead, your journey is like an endless spiral, constantly shifting and evolving. Sometimes, you may feel like you are making great strides forward, only to find yourself pulled back into the depths, grappling with doubts and fears you thought you had already overcome. And sometimes you may feel as though you are stuck, unable to move, unable to progress. But I assure you, this feeling of being stuck is merely the illusion of the mind. The truth is that you are always moving, always growing, always shifting. Even when it feels like nothing is happening, you are in the process of becoming. But the question remains, where are you on your journey right now? What stage of awakening are you in? The answer may surprise you, because even if you've been on this path for years, there may be aspects of your journey you have not fully recognized. There may be stages you've passed through without even realizing they were happening. You see, the stages of awakening are not always as clear-cut as we would like them to be. They don't come with a neat little label or a timestamp. They are fluid, shifting, ever-changing. And that is why this self-assessment is so powerful. It allows you to take a step back from the constant forward momentum of the journey and gain a moment of clarity, a moment of reflection, a moment where you can pause and truly see yourself for the first time. So, I invite you to take a deep breath and prepare yourself to step into a space of deep awareness, because what you are about to discover may change everything. There are no right or wrong answers here. This is not a test that you can fail. It is simply a mirror reflecting back to you the truth of where you stand right now. And as you look into that mirror, allow yourself to truly see. Don't rush. Don't try to force an answer. Just allow yourself to be with the question. Let it sink deep into your soul. Where are you right now? Are you feeling the intense pull of the first stage, awakening? Are you sensing the sudden flash of realization, the spark that ignites the fire of your spiritual journey? Or are you still in the darkness, wondering what this all means, searching for something that feels just out of reach? Are you in the second stage, purification? Are you feeling as though everything is falling apart? Your life, your identity, your old patterns? Does it feel like you are being stretched beyond your limits? Like the universe is asking you to release everything that no longer serves you? Maybe you are experiencing the third stage, illumination. Have you had moments of deep insight, moments when you touched the divine and felt the thrill of the spiritual high? But then, maybe you have also encountered the shadows that come with this stage, the dangers that lie in chasing after the next high without grounding yourself in presence. Or perhaps you are in the fourth stage, transformation. Are you in the process of shedding your old identity, leaving behind your former self in order to be reborn into something new? Do you feel the fear and resistance that arise when you face the death of the old? And yet, there is an undeniable pull toward the new life that awaits you? Maybe you are in the fifth stage, integration. Are you struggling to bring your spiritual insights into the practical reality of everyday life? Are you facing the challenge of balancing the spiritual and the mundane, the sacred and the ordinary? Do you feel as though you are stuck, unable to move forward, unable to fully integrate the new truths you have discovered? Or perhaps you are stepping into the sixth stage, mastery. Are you beginning to sense your own power and wisdom? Are you finding that your ability to manifest and create is growing stronger? But are you also aware of the traps that come with this stage? The temptation to become attached to your power, to forget that true mastery lies in humility, not ego. Finally, are you nearing the seventh stage, transcendence? Are you beginning to touch the divine in a way that words cannot express? Are you experiencing moments of deep unity, where the boundaries between you and the universe dissolve? But do you also sense the paradox of transcendence, that it cannot be forced, that it is a natural unfolding, and that trying to grasp it only keeps it out of reach? Now, as you reflect on these questions, don't try to fit yourself into a box. Don't try to label your experience. Simply notice where you are. Notice what stage resonates most with your current experience. And then, ask yourself, what do you need right now? What do you need to continue your journey? What insights do you still need to understand? What practice do you need to implement in order to move through this stage with grace? What habits do you need to release? What fears do you need to face? What love do you need to offer yourself? Once you have taken the time to reflect, allow yourself to feel the depth of this realization. For it is not enough to simply recognize where you are. You must also honor it, accept it, embrace it, and from this place of acceptance, you can begin to move forward with clarity. You can begin to take the next step, knowing that you are exactly where you need to be. And remember, there is no rush. There is no destination. The journey itself is the awakening. So wherever you are right now, know that it is perfect. You are perfect, and you are always moving forward, always growing, always becoming. And that, dear soul, is all that matters. Your spiritual journey isn't meant to be walked alone. Join our awakening community today. The path of awakening is not a solitary journey, though it often feels like it. You walk it in the silence of your own soul, but you are never truly alone. There are others who have heard the call, who are feeling the stirrings of transformation, who are walking alongside you in their own unique ways. And in this sacred community, you will find the connection that sustains you, the support that uplifts you, the wisdom that guides you. There is something powerful that happens when we come together, when we share our experiences, our struggles, our victories, and our insights. We become stronger, we become clearer, we become a mirror for each other's awakening. When you join this community, you enter a space where you can be seen, where your truth can be acknowledged, where your soul can be nurtured. Here, there is no judgment, there is no competition. There is only the pure recognition of each individual's journey, each person's unique unfolding. And as you step into this space, you are not simply connecting with others. You are connecting with the divine within them. You are connecting with the divine within yourself. Together, you will create a field of energy that accelerates your growth, that expands your awareness, that transforms your life. This is the power of spiritual community. The ancient sages knew this truth. They knew that no one can awaken in isolation. We are all connected, and when we come together in our shared pursuit of truth and wisdom, we amplify the energy of awakening. So I invite you now, join this community. Become part of something greater than yourself. A space where you can share your experiences, your doubts, your triumphs, your questions. A space where you can receive support and offer your own to others. A space where you can explore the depths of your spiritual journey, knowing that you are not alone. This is a journey that is meant to be shared. It is a journey that is meant to be walked together. And as you take this step, know that you are supported. Know that you are seen. Know that you are loved. There is no greater gift than to walk this path with others who understand, who are committed to their own growth, and who are ready to offer their hearts to the journey. So, as you stand at this threshold, ask yourself, are you ready to take the next step? Are you ready to connect? Are you ready to share your wisdom and receive the wisdom of others? This is not just about what you will gain, but about what you will give. Because the more you offer your heart, your soul, your energy, the more you will receive in return. This is the law of spiritual community. It is a law of reciprocity. And it is in this reciprocity that true transformation occurs. When we walk this path together, we help each other navigate the challenges, the dark nights, the doubts, and the fears. We lift each other up when we fall. We hold each other when we are weak. We inspire each other to keep going when the path seems unclear. And we celebrate each other's victories as though they are our own. So, I invite you to share your journey with us, to join this community of awakened souls who are ready to walk this path together. The journey may be long, but it is not meant to be walked alone. We are all here for one another, and together, we can experience a transformation unlike anything we've ever known. Now, I want you to take a moment and reflect on what comes next for you. Are you ready to join this community? Are you ready to share your truth? Are you ready to step into a new phase of your awakening? One that is supported by the wisdom and love of others? This is your invitation, a sacred invitation to step deeper into your truth, your power, and your transformation. And it all begins with a single step, a single decision to say yes to the journey ahead, to join us, to become part of something far greater than yourself. Because together we are unstoppable. Together, we are the light that shines in the darkness. Together, we are the force of transformation that is rippling through the world. So take that step. Share your thoughts, your questions, your insights, your struggles with us in the comments below. Together, we will continue this journey, further than any of us could ever go alone. And remember, this is just the beginning. There are more powerful videos, resources, and teachings coming your way, each one designed to guide you deeper into the mystery of your own awakening. So, subscribe now to be a part of this unfolding transformation. You are not alone. You never were. And the journey is about to get even more extraordinary.